Okay, I am here to show you guys how to create a Jamboard for your students and make it more engaging for your classroom. So what you're going to do is go to Google and find your waffle for your Google account. In your waffle, you'll have to scroll down just a little bit, but you're going to see an icon that says Jamboard, an app that says Jamboard. So you're going to click on Jamboard. Now, if you see mine, I have lots of Jamboards that I've created, and sometimes I just copy and paste those and make a copy of those, create my next one. But if you want to make a fresh one, and if you don't have any Jamboards, you're going to need to click this little plus button down here on the right that says New Jam. So you're going to click that little button. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to title your Jamboard so that you can make sure that that's saved. So we're going to say practice Jamboard here, and we'll click OK. After you've created your Jamboard, you can name it anything you're working on. You can call it factor review, order of operations, whatever your Jamboard is going to engage the students with, that's what you probably want to name it. Now, I have 4 different classes, so what I do is I normally name my Jamboards based on the class that is going to be using that Jamboard. So I typically make 4 different Jamboards for each of my class. So I'll say practice Jamboard, Miss Bishop's homeroom, HR, okay? And then what I'll do is once I finish the Jamboard, I'll make a copy and then I'll label it Miss Botigliera's homeroom. I'll make a copy, label it Miss Libby's homeroom, make a copy, make it Miss Walter's homeroom. And the reason I do that is so that each class has their own Jamboard, and it gets kind of clogged up if you have too many people on one Jamboard at once. So the way that you would make a copy is you would go to this 3 dots over here to the right, and you would just say make a copy right there. Okay, so now that you've named your Jamboard and you have your Jamboard set up, there's a lot of different tools that you can use for your Jamboard. For example, you can change the background to several different colors. This tool clears the frame, so let's say you want to just restart, you can do that. This tool right here is the pen. We've also got an eraser. This gets you back to your mouse if you've selected any of these items. This is where the students can click their sticky note, and you can type in your Jamboard question or answer to wherever you are on that. This is where you can insert a picture. So if you want to make the Jamboard a little bit more appealing, or better on the eyes, then you can add a picture there. Right here you can put a circle just to kind of, if you want to do like a Venn diagram or things like that, you can do that. You've also got text boxes, and then of course you've got a laser, which basically just kind of writes all over the board, and the kids love using that tool. So please make sure that you talk to your kids about the rules of, of a Jamboard. So if you're starting your Jamboard, what you're going to do is you're going to usually pose a question. So you're going to probably start off with some sort of text box to make that question. So you can adjust this Jamboard any way you like or any way you want to, and make that Jamboard work for whatever you want to work. So I'm just making a quick title. Now, to make the font bigger or smaller, it doesn't have a normal font box that you're used to. I mean, a size box that you're used to, like on Word or Google Docs. You actually just select from here where it says normal. So if this is a question, you might want to use the display or title. If it's not, then you can kind of use this any way you want. So we can say, how much do you love Jamboard? Okay, so that could be our question. Oops, I need to spell that right, sorry. How much do you love Jamboard? Okay, so you'll set up your Jamboard like that. Maybe you want to center it. You can center it with this tool. You can change the color with this tool. The options for that are a little bit more limited, but it's still a great tool to have. So then you set up your Jamboard, and maybe you want to bring in a picture, to put on this Jamboard. Once you are done with your Jamboard, so you can kind of jazz this up any way you want to. Once your Jamboard is done, there are 2 very important steps you have to make sure that your kids can actually access the Jamboard, use the Jamboard, and create their sticky note on the Jamboard. So you're going to click share. Now in the share, of course, you can always add other teachers to your Jamboard if you want to up here. I would not recommend adding students up here. What I would recommend is down here for access. So right now my access says restricted, only people added can open the link, meaning the only people that can open the link are the people who I add up here. What you want to do is click here, and it says Norfolk Public Schools, anyone in this group with the link can view. That's actually where you want to keep it. You don't want to change this to anyone with the link because it can actually get hacked very easily. You can get guests on here that you don't want to have, and they will delete the Jamboard. They will mess with it just because it's fun to mess with teachers who are trying to teach virtually. It's happened to me. That's how I know. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep it on Norfolk Public Schools, but then you're going to change viewer to editor. If you don't change it to editor, your children will not be able to add sticky notes, and they won't be able to edit anything on the Jamboard at all. So it's actually a pro, but it's actually a con too, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So what you'll do is you'll click done there. Now, how do you give your students access to the Jamboard? Well, you go to share, and right here where you see copy link, you would copy that link, and then you would post that link in a variety of places. If you're still using Google Classroom, you would post it in Google Classroom. If you're using Canvas now, you would post it in Canvas. You can also post it in the chat while you're teaching so that students can move straight from your Zoom lesson to the Jamboard to do their interactive sticky notes. So there's lots of options to where you can put that link for students to be able to access your Jamboard. Okay, now that students have access to your Jamboard, you're going to want to show them where to find their sticky note, how to add their sticky note, but most importantly, you're going to need to tell them your expectations, because now that they are able to edit this Jamboard, they have access to all of the same tools that you have, and there's not any way to really change that. So they have access to the pen and the eraser and adding images and all of that stuff, and you really don't want them doing any of that. So definitely have a conversation with your students before you use a Jamboard so that they don't start messing around using the pen, using the laser, adding things that you know, are not going to add value to your lesson or to your Jamboard. So I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me.